The PvP semifinal is here. In the top left, for Storm Gaming, it is MaxPax. In the bottom right, for Maturino, actually I don't think he's on Maturino anymore. It is Astrea. I think he announced a couple of weeks ago that he was no longer with Maturino. He must just not have taken off the tag yet. Unless he re-signed with them and I missed it. It's actually kind of a decent time to not be on a team. Yeah, as of the 13th, he's no longer on Maturino Esports. Which sounds really weird, right? Because, you know, why would you not want to be on a team, which is presumably giving you a certain amount of monthly income? That's typically what, like, established teams give you. And the amount depends on, you know, a lot of different factors, obviously. But in a time period of bigger teams searching for almost mercenaries to a degree, you know, single, so cheap players to participate in the Esports World Cup and possibly get them points, it's a good time, actually, to be a free agent, because you might be picked up by a very big name, such as a Cloud9. Now, obviously not Cloud9, as they picked up Gumio and seem to be rather content with that, but another big team was tweeting out StarCraft stuff, and hell, it might even be Astrea who they're picking up. I might actually be spoiling something I don't actually know. Not Gauntlet Esports, something else. One of you will remind me who it is. As we do have actually a very interesting PvP because it's Europe versus North America, but it's also naturally odd MaxPax, who just always does the one gate opener, on the low ground, so it's his natural state of being. And the unnatural North American Astrea, whose natural state of being is to be kind of unnatural. Like, he goes with the flow. He has his own builds, but he doesn't just restrict himself to one or two. Like, MaxPax really did just hone in on this. He truly believed that this is the best way to play PvP for himself, and he's the only one who can do it as often as he does. So that's his thing. But Astrea is North American. Astrea, you know, just takes what he can get, goes with the flow, he thrives by pulling himself up by his bootstraps. I don't know, whatever else American thing people do, but... And it kind of is the way that he plays StarCraft, actually. Like, he plays some wacky games, he plays some clutch games, he plays aggressive, he plays defensive, he plays super macro, super all-in. And it's been kind of effective for his career. In this case, he did go for a low ground 2 gates. Now, this is something that MaxPax saw. You would be able to click on the buildings and see, oh, it's 2 gateways. I need to be prepared for aggression. Which is exactly what MaxPax was. You got a shield battery at a very appropriate time, and then didn't get so distracted by some units entering into his natural that he missed the opportunity to actually use the shield battery. Which is probably what Astrea was hoping for, is that the Zealot would cause more hubbub, delay the Nexus a little bit longer perhaps as well, and then the Stalkers appear and start tapping at that shield battery. Nothing to heal the shield battery means that can actually be focus fired, and Bob's your uncle, whatever. But didn't actually happen. And Astrea sacrifices a little bit of his Nexus timing, but considering how much he delayed MaxPax's Nexus, totally worth it. MaxPax's Nexus still not done. This counterattack only to distract, only. Stasis Trap went in the main base, captured 3 probes. That is not the best. Not the best here. Thank you, Gladiators. I knew it was G something, you know? But yeah, Gladiators might even be picking up Astrea for all I know. If you're asking me if this building was going to block the Nexus, I kind of had my doubts too, but then figured he would know. And clearly, it's totally fine. Totally fine. Literally within one space of each other, though. That's pretty impressive. Oracle swoops in once again, this time with a tag team. But the one Oracle with energy just got bopped. So 4 probes, 4 an Oracle. Not exactly worth it. Now the piercing to the shield battery combination has come and gone. MaxPax not having the best PvP of his life, but really not all that bad. Even though his Nexus was a decent amount later, the actual pro production is really what you got to be looking at. The chronos, where they're being placed, is what you have to look at. And when there's so many considerations in a game of StarCraft 2 that isn't just, okay, my base is faster than yours, it's very possible that it looks bad, it looks poor, it maybe even feels bad, but then you look at the replay and you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't that far behind. And you can see MaxPax is even now ahead by 2 workers thanks to the probe damage he did do. It wasn't a lot, and as far as a direct trade on the Oracle, maybe not worth it, but continuing to find little bits of damage and making Astrea worry about it consistently has also helped. Lovely shield battery position, like that a lot. 2 Adepts trying to enter in, but MaxPax pretty freaking good. Anti-Adept defense, pretty much always on point. Oh, this is a twist. Oh no, I don't think Astrea was expecting that. MaxPax's Twilight Council and Blink was actually 7 seconds faster. And so Astrea not even able to escape now that his Blink is done. It's actually really bad news. He's about to be down to 3 Stalkers. Okay, MaxPax won't aggressively Blink. He doesn't know what's behind that. That makes sense. But he's still down in Stalkers. And Stalkers to 5. MaxPax has built some back at home, though, because, oh, there you go. The Adept did finally get into the main base. Gonna kill 1. 2 probes should happen. Oh, just kidding. The Immortal is going to be a savior here. Because even though the shield bat on the high ground is really cool and probably would have saved Astrea's life, to have to be kind of choked up in your own wall here, it would be less than ideal. Especially if MaxPax was proxying units and warping in, then suddenly this shield battery actually gets sniped. Yeah, the Immortal definitely necessary at this point. But now it's without its hardened shield, and that makes it extra vulnerable. There's the blink in, and the shield battery overcharge does allow it an extra shot or 2. And then, oh, the Immortal here is going to be perfect. Okay, so that was barely good enough. Barely good enough. But now Astrea is without that forward shield battery. He's without an overcharge, and he doesn't have 2 Immortals. He's still only on 1. That, again, can be tapped and then focus fired. Still a very scary position for Astrea. But I think with MaxPax not having a proxy gateway, he might not be able to push through here. Okay, maybe he will. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Yep, this actually seems like enough. This seems like enough. Astrea not able to protect the Immortal, get it do enough damage, also taking further damage from the Oracle. Has certainly lost out here in this game. He's now behind by almost 20 workers. Behind an army supply. He is ahead in the upgrade by 20 seconds. Watch out, guys. That upgrade gonna bring everyone back. Don't even worry about it. And actually, I think Astrea's only hope is to try and add on a Dark Shrine. But MaxPax is working his way up to a Robo, so it wouldn't win the game, but maybe it could do some damage. And Astrea is absolutely the type of Protoss player who would do that and then cause this to still be a very funky game indeed. But so far, no Dark Shrine. And no Dark Shrine, I don't think there's any question as to how this game goes. There's nothing else that really changes up the numbers game. Even if Astrea had charge, that would be something to talk about. Because if he suddenly goes all charge lot, then maybe MaxPax doesn't expect it. He missed micros. He gets stuck up against a wall. And the charge lots are, you know, pretty effective at that point. It's different. But if Astrea is literally going Stalker v Stalker and only 1 Immortal to really change things up, that's it. That won't be enough. MaxPax has had a considerable economic lead. Big spike right there with all that damage done. And even a spike earlier on with, I think, the Stasis Trap. And he will use it to get a bigger and better army. Astrea is hoping that there's still 1 chance to hit before MaxPax is perfectly comfortable. And it's quickly going away. And actually, Astrea does take a 4th Nexus in sight of the pylon just before it dies. I do want... Oh, this Observer's gonna die. Oh my god, don't let the Observer die. MaxPax is actually the one with an Observer. Please don't let the Observer die. So far, so good. And actually, Astrea does get the benefit of the blink forward. MaxPax not with enough units to actually take on that army. He had Zealots going over to the Nexus, of which he was almost distracted by, you know? He was like, I'll give him the old 1-2. And then he got 1-2'd. The Nexus cancel might be something that Astrea was even willing to do, as he now has an extra couple of minerals in his pocket for a few more Stalker Warpins. MaxPax still not on charge, by the way. Wait, what happened to... Wait, I thought he was getting charged. He was not getting charged. He got a Dark Shrine before he got charged, guys. And so those Zealots look really useless. Walking slowly into target fire from the Stalkers is not a good position for Zealots. And Immortal helps out MaxPax as well, and he does have the benefit of a shield body overcharge, so it still will be good enough. But I thought he had charge, and that was going to be a no-brainer to me if he had charge. He did not. I have no brain. Instead, he has Dark Shrine, which he could also be using to build Archons, which are also extremely helpful. And obviously, Astrea's lack of 4th Nexus is even more of a killer for him than the game has already been. If those 4 extra Stalkers, or 3 extra Stalkers from the cancelled Nexus was enough to overpower MaxPax on the defense, that would have been awesome. That would have been so cool. But it was clearly not the case. Actually, DT does get revealed. A little heads up for Astrea. Maybe he won't take further damage from DTs, but they will still be a problem. Observer's coming back. He does have 2 observers. Astrea seems okay. And actually even has the army lead, guys. That is also because MaxPax is expanding, adding technology, adding production, and has yet to warp in. Now the warp in's happening, or more upgrades are happening. Either way, he's finally used his money. Oh, the warp in's happened in the main base of the Warp Prism. There you go. Shield body overcharge is kind of funky seeing on the high ground like that, but it is helpful. Probe still going down though in the natural thanks to a DT there. And Astrea just... It is kind of surprising to see him so stable on the supply. I will admit to that. But overall, his position is supposed to be quite poor. He's down 32 workers. He's been down 10 plus for 5 minutes? And he still has an even supply. MaxPax perhaps giving a little too much in harassment for the economy that he's actually killing. Not really a trade, but he has so much that he can sacrifice before he has to worry. It's just that if he gets too overconfident, and he keeps thinking what I'm thinking, which is like, surely I win this game, surely I win this game, surely I win this game, then maybe Astrea can bring it back. Astrea just grabbed 3 Immortals almost for free. MaxPax's charge lots did eventually come in to get some revenge, and so it definitely wasn't free. But overall, probably a worthwhile blink forward, because he just took down 3 very powerful and slower building units. So it did cost him his own Stalkers, and it did cost him a lot of health, but probably in the grand scheme of things would be worth it if MaxPax didn't have the full might of an almost 40 probe plus economy ahead of his opponent. If that didn't exist, then the Immortal Snipes are really good. But one way or another, MaxPax is bound to win this game. Astrea just proving that he is no slouch in the matchup despite a very poor start. Yep, things very quickly went the way of MaxPax, let's be real. And we've been watching someone limp around with a cane or a bandage or a... I don't know what else. Boot. One of those boots you put in your foot when you break your ankle or whatever. And it's upgrading, guys. We are upgrading to full body cast as we're speaking. Astrea, somehow. If he had Disruptors, I'd be a really big believer. If he had Disruptors, or if he was the one with DTs, I would believe. But he has none of that. So he's running around with a DT problem in his main and his natural. Real big DT problem. Gonna be able to get another Immortal, though, as MaxPax. He's never quite big enough on the front army to actually kill Astrea. He puts so much into his harassment, which, again, might not really be getting the damage done that it looks like. Just in terms of the equivalent exchange, the amount of Zealots, Warp Prism, and DTs that are being afforded by MaxPax and trading out for 13 probes in a robo might not actually be worth it. Does not matter. But that might explain why Astrea is still hanging on. He's also been out-upgraded for the majority of the game. His +3 has been done for a very long time for MaxPax. MaxPax has taken over the map entirely. Astrea just has no way of stopping that from happening. There's no open area of attack for Astrea. If you thought about moving out on the map here, well, there's another army from MaxPax. ET blink aggressively, actually. Not that it was truly necessary, but it does get them up close and personal. No shield battery at the natural, unfortunately, and that probably would have held the choke. Main base under attack as well, just so many freaking DTs. Astrea thought there might be an opportunity to get aggressive, as it looks like he chased down the, let's call it, main army. I'm not even sure I can call it that, though, because the DT armies are almost as big. Because maybe he thought it was only the natural that was under attack, but his main was also under attack. Now, he is cleaning things up before the Nexus entirely falls, which probably me surprised once again. I keep thinking, and every time I see the flashing lights on the minimap, I assume Astrea is losing 8 gateways, 2 forges, a Nexus, and 50 probes. I'm like, you're dead, right? He's never dead! He will not die! The supply advantage for MaxPax is literally only in the workers, as he loses yet another immortal because he is once again forced to disengage when he probably thought that was going to be a winning push. Or maybe he doesn't think it's going to win directly, but he thinks he's going to be able to bully him. And it's always MaxPax's, again, main quote-unquote army that's the one getting bullied. 16 and a half minutes, and I swear to God, for the last 10, I've been saying Astrea is dead. And he really is, guys. He really freaking is. Finally! He is actually dead. Chi-chi. Astrea, in a full-body cast, on one of those, like, you know, like pulleys they have in the medical bed, you know? Swinging! Just moving his body around. As a nurse, like, follows him, you know, with, like, a trolley or something. Like, Jesus. I'm not in a body cast, I'm in body armor! 101, 102 probes, as one does. Yeah, exactly. As one does. In the top right, after almost 17 minutes, finally, getting game number 1. Now spawning on equilibrium as Blue Protoss. It's MaxPax. In the top left, the man who refuses to die. It is Astrea. I think my point about the actual equivalent exchange not being so equivalent on the harassment versus economic damage was a good point. I think it was worth pointing out. I also think it's absolutely worth pointing out that the strategy that MaxPax was using is usually a very effective one for killing a defensively positioned and player, actually, not even Protoss, but particularly Protoss most of the time. And that strategy is like, I'm gonna split my army because you have less army, which actually was not the case, but I'm gonna split my army because you can't possibly react to every location in time. Not before I do more damage or before I find you miss-splitting and catching an army victory for me. It's usually a very good idea. Because if you think about the alternative, which is MaxPax using the full weight of his economy to then throw a similar-sized army, apparently, into the 4th base, maybe he has a 20 or 30 army supply surplus because he doesn't, quote-unquote, waste time on harassing. Maybe. Maybe he literally only goes for the gut punch, the one-punch man strategy. Attacks in Astrea's 4th base. And you think, well, that makes sense because he's up. So, you know, go for it. But then shield battery overcharge, extra shield batteries, an immortal that doesn't quite go down to the one shot of the stalker blinking, zealots being an issue because you didn't make as many as you thought, they didn't get the concave that you thought, war prism getting shot down from behind because of the stalker, hit squad from Astrea, and suddenly they have a potential to come back. Because actually killing a guy, this is funny, actually killing a guy when their back's up against a shield battery is pretty freaking difficult. And then MaxPax actually kept on kind of either losing or only going even on the split army tactics. Astrea was actually able to follow the splitting of the army closely enough to stop it from ever truly overwhelming him. And that is pretty impressive from Astrea. Pretty freaking impressive. many other Protosses would have looked away for half a second longer, gotten all the army into the natural, and lost an entire Nexus. Speaking of Nexus, game number 2 here. This is MaxPax's side of the map. But this is Astrea's Nexus. So to make that super clear. Super clear. MaxPax originally scouting no Nexus, and no seeming intention for a Nexus, was rightfully worried. But then he thought maybe something else weird is happening. Because even though that's a 1 base with a second pylon in your 1 base, I think there might still be something out on the map. And he was right about that. I believe this is the 3rd pylon anyway. I'm pretty sure about that. Could be wrong. And so he does go around scouting, good on him. And while the Void Ray might have been made under the pretense that this was more of an all-in, it's still very helpful for potentially, stopping this Nexus from mining, or maybe it gives MaxPax confidence he shouldn't have. Void Ray, not so great of a unit without a shield battery, honestly. And the shield battery is now done in a defensive, but kind of also offensive position for Astrea. Oracle coming in will not have to worry about Blink for Astrea anytime soon. Especially as Astrea didn't go Nexus technology. He didn't get a Twilight Council. He went Nexus and then into Gateways. Wait. Oh, that's what MaxPax saw. That was actually... I am so blind. I'm going to blame the odd hour of casting, personally. There's not a gas. Obviously, that screams gold base. That makes a lot more sense as why MaxPax went looking around. It also means Astrea doesn't need nearly as many probes to have an equivalent or even better economy, something that is used to produce 4 gateways worth of units every production round, something that MaxPax cannot hold up against. He actually stopped building Void Rays. Not too common for MaxPax, honestly. Maybe he actually thought this was going to go into a Twilight Council. Because the number of Stalkers breaking through like that has seemed to surprise MaxPax to the point that MaxPax is now dead. So Oracle will not find the equivalent damage. And there's really nothing else working out here for MaxPax. I mean, his opponent's reinforcements are coming in pretty freaking quick, honestly. It's not a gateway that's proxied, it's a Nexus that's proxied. GG, Astrea wins game number 2. And yeah, my apologies. Yeah, like the second gas not being there is a huge red flag, right? So MaxPax obviously is looking around, goes, oh, that's a really cheeky Nexus. Tries to stop it from really getting up and running, because if he kills the Stalkers and kills the Pylon, then there's no reinforcements, there's no shield battery. It's really bad for Astrea. But instead, gets his Void Ray basically almost dead, loses his own Stalkers, runs away, goes for Oracle harassment, and then seems to disregard the attack potential. No additional shield batteries, no backup pylons, no second Void Ray. It seems like that might have been the issue. And it is always a little awkward because you're constantly wary of the fact that you're falling behind against a gold base player, even if they don't have as many probes, they don't need as many probes. But it did seem like MaxPax just was not as well set up defensively as one would think. If that's the 1 base variation. And MaxPax is just constantly confirming it's 1 base, it's 1 base, it's 1 base, it's 1 base. He has 5 shield batteries, 3 Void Rays. Easy. So now we have a tied up series. Top rated is MaxPax, bottom left it is Astrea. I really can't believe I missed that lack of second gas. I saw 2 gateways at the front, and I just assumed there's 2 gases. I swear. Because usually there is, in my defense. Usually, if you see only 1 gas, I mean, they've gone for their own, you know, single gateway into Nexus. So I saw 2 gateways on the high ground. I saw a gas, and then I just completely disregarded anything else in my field of vision. Now I'm really on top of it, trust me, guys. The hour might be getting later, but I'm just getting better. Don't even worry. As you can see here, Astrea is not going for any type of forward wall off at all. Not on the high ground of the main base, and not on the choke of the natural. It is a 1 gateway, expands. The gas steal is a little concerning, but remember, if MaxPax gas steals, then that's going to delay his own Nexus, but it also would have delayed his Cybernex core as well. Whichever one he's deciding to go for, which he is going to go directly into his Cybernex core. He actually could have gone for exactly what Astrea did. Or close to it, I should say, because, yeah, you still get 2 gases, even with what MaxPax has done here. You just don't with what Astrea has done. So Astrea, I mean, it's really playing on expectations, I would say. An expectation of MaxPax and his build order is that there's a strong chance that he does not get a Nexus first. That hardly ever happens in PvP. And there's also a very strong chance he doesn't get a Gateway, then Nexus. It's almost always going to be 7x4, then Nexus, and then often it's Stargate, then Nexus, because they're all doing the hullabaloo, Pylon Probe, Gateway, 7x4 shit in your natural, right? So he grabs 2 gases. He has the ability to go directly into the Stargate, but he doesn't have the ability to get as fast of a Nexus as Astrea does. Astrea knows that there's no way that MaxPax would be able to get really aggressive in the early game because he is only working off of 1 gateway. But while MaxPax gets that faster technology, Astrea gets the faster economy, and presumably will have the means to defend that faster technology, which will always be in the form of a Stargate. Which means Oracle, which means a couple of Stalkers in position, or Shield Battery. But speaking of being in position, hello. Nothing in position to stop the Depth from getting in. And Astrea is starting to lose out on the economic advantage that he had from grabbing a faster Nexus and still not grabbing a second gas. He has once again just purely added on gateways. But he has lost 5 probes. 5 probes? Almost lost a 6th right there. Still lost mining time. And this is so much important distraction. Now the Oracle swoops in. Now we're not going to go for the dive here, but I think MaxPax can already be pretty happy with how he's played the runaround game in Astrea's own bases. Don't tell me 5 more probes are going to go down. Oh my god! It was initially a very devious build. Almost kind of counter to what MaxPax does, because MaxPax will basically always do this order of events. He might grab a Nexus after some X-Core if a probe isn't there to block it, but he almost always does that sequence of events, and then often into the Stargate first. It turns to shit so quickly. MaxPax wins Game 3, despite Astrea's cleverness in the beginning, and will advance on in the North American Open Cup.